The time has come at 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started with our special voting session for this evening, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Mrs. Boyer, would you please take the roll call?
Certainly. Mrs. Zimmerman.
Here.
Mr. Landis. Mr. Breald.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Couch.
Here.
Mrs. Lingo.
Here.
Mrs. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Weaver.
Here.
Mr. Woolley.
Here.
Ms. Weicker.
Here.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyer. Recognition of citizens. This board welcomes and invites public comment at the appropriate time or times set forth in the agenda. Public comment is governed by Board Policy 903, which provides, in part, that all public statements shall be directed to the presiding officer and that no speaker may individually address or question members of the board or others in attendance. The presiding officer may terminate a speaker's statement when, in the presiding officer's opinion, the statement is too lengthy, abusive, obscene, irrelevant, directed to an attendee other than the presiding officer, or otherwise violates Board Policy 903. You may sign up to deliver comments at this point based on items on the agenda or at the end of the agenda under comments from public. Regardless of when you are speaking, please wait to be recognized, come to the podium, state your name and the general topic on which you will be speaking. If you choose to make a comment at this time based on items on the agenda, please also identify the specific agenda item that you will be addressing. Please limit comments to 2 to 3 minutes. The board may or may not elect to respond to any public comment. The board's lack of response is not an indication that the board in any way endorses, approves of, or agrees with a particular public comment or speaker. The board requires an appropriate level of respect and decorum during board meetings. Board meetings are designed for the district to be able to conduct business and should be treated with the same decorum or respect as a legal or other government proceeding. All those in attendance must recognize that their personal behavior can interfere with or otherwise disturb the intended purpose of these meetings. Additionally, we are setting an example for students in our district. Students may be physically or virtually present at any time. The board reserves the right to remove individuals who violate these basic rules of decorum and behavior. Repeated violators may also be subjected to being barred from attending meetings for a set period of time. While public comment is an important and valued part of a school board meeting, the public is advised that such public comment may not always be appropriate or effective method of addressing a particular question or concern. District Policy 906 establishes a comprehensive and robust procedure for the public to communicate questions, suggestions, and complaints regarding our schools. The procedure sets out the general intent of the board that complaints, concerns, and suggestions be first addressed and or resolved at the lowest appropriate level of the district, whether that be a particular teacher, building principal, or administrator. The board has the utmost faith and trust in district professional staff and administrators and their ability to promptly address and resolve the vast majority of questions and concerns. While a public statement may not be terminated solely on the grounds that the presiding officer or any other party disagrees with the statement or finds the statement to be inaccurate or offensive, public comment should not be a forum for personal attacks, antagonistic behavior, or harassment of district employees, community members, or other parties. Please be advised that you are accountable for any legal or other ramifications and liability that may result from any statement you make, including any statement that misinterprets the truth, defames any individual, or discloses confidential, non-public information. Your cooperation with these rules is appreciated and expected. Thank you. Mrs. Boyer, do we have any citizens that wish to speak this evening?
Yes, we do. We'll start with Mary Turner, followed by Zachary Weiser and Zoe Buchanan.
Addressing. Return something. What's on here? Are we good? Okay. I'll be addressing item number 4, Dr. Hershey's resignation. My name is Mary Turner. I am the parent of a senior who has been privileged to attend Warwick entirely under Superintendent April Hershey's leadership. For 15 years, Dr. Hershey has guided our schools with unwavering professionalism, boundless kindness, and an unparalleled dedication to our students' well-being and success. She's navigated Warwick's tragedies and triumphs with remarkable resilience and compassion. One of Dr. Hershey's greatest strengths lies in her profound support of our students. She doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. I've seen her at countless extracurricular activities. She cheers on our athletes, encourages our artists, celebrates our scholars, and applauds our musicians. I've seen her at events in the cold, in the rain, early in the morning, late at night, and even hours away from Lidditz. She knows students by name and supports their goals and interests, even to the point that she and my daughter exchange shoe compliments. She is a champion for every child under her care. Under her leadership, opportunities abound. Just this year, we've seen our students succeed at the district, regional, state, and even national levels as musicians, athletes, and scientists. I'd like to offer you, Dr. Hershey, my personal thank you, as my own child's education has been top-notch. Through her classes and experiences at Warwick, we are sending a well-rounded, competent, and confident young woman off to college in the fall. As you embark on this new chapter of your journey, know that you take with you the respect, admiration, and appreciation of all who have had the privilege of working alongside you.
Am I good to go? Hello, my name is Zach Weiser. I'm a Warwick student, and I'm here to speak on the resignation of Dr. Hershey. I want to thank Dr. Hershey for her time at Warwick and for all the labor she's done, but especially for speaking out on the hiring of ILC. Me and so many other students are grateful for your words spoken on the topic, and we are all truly sorry for the situation, and we hope you continue to sympathize with the student body, especially those marginalized communities which will be affected. Keep in mind that time will prove us right. Whilst now the status quo is continuing to be formulated against the students, against the teachers, and against the people, history has proven itself time and time again in favor of social and common progress. From the overthrow of kings, to the emancipation of slaves, to the fight for women's rights and the civil rights movement, and the fight for freedom of oppression happening all around the world today, history has always materialized progress of the people in favor of conservatism and oppression by the few in power. Regardless of the decisions of an unrepresentative school board, history will prove us right. However, to ensure this future, we must be organized, we must fight, and we must take action. Thank you, Dr. Hershey, for speaking and representing us, and thank you to all those who speak out against what's happening here.
Thank you, Zach.
Good evening. My name is Zoe Buchanan, and I will be addressing agenda item number 4. This week marks the final week of my 13 years as a student at Warwick School District. For each of these years, my classmates and I have studied under the guidance of Superintendent Dr. April Hershey. And for this fact, I could not be more grateful. My time is limited, so I will be concise, though I could speak far longer on the countless ways in which Dr. Hershey has nurtured the minds and spirits of the students who have passed through Warwick during her employment. The majority of my time at Warwick has been spent in the music department, where I've discovered my friends, my family, and my purpose. This is where I found my place and my voice as a part of the community of Lidditz. I speak confidently for myself, and I'm sure I'm not alone in my sentiment when I state that the Warwick High School Music Department and staff have saved my life. A past music educator herself, Dr. Hershey has dedicated ample time to sharing her passion for music with students at Warwick. She carries not only immense talent, but an unbreakable joy in her music that reminds each of us why we are here and just how important our education in this subject is. Her constant support and encouragement has blessed us with opportunities to learn and grow as musicians and as human beings. She is a consistent audience member at each of our many performances, always going above and beyond to make known the power and importance of music in high schools. She raises up individual students, creating confidence for each and every child in their purpose. Dr. Hershey is a fierce advocate for the students of the music department, but this is not where her devotion stops. Her courage as an educational leader has carried students and staff alike through tragedy, pandemic, and adversity like none other. In a 2019 interview, Dr. Hershey defined courage as standing strong through adversity and being able to stick to core beliefs when making decisions, even when it becomes difficult. She has lived up to and surpassed this definition in every way. I can personally recall many times in which Dr. Hershey has stood out in support for her students. I remember vividly a phrase that she told our choir this year while she stood in on a rehearsal. She told us, "You are in this classroom for a reason, and you are doing just what you are meant to be doing." And in that statement, she could not have been more correct. As I pursue my degree in education this fall, I can only hope and pray to find the strength and resilience within myself to reflect her 15 years of love and care for this community. Dr. Hershey, no words could be enough to describe my gratitude for your service. Your kindness and wisdom are immeasurable and irreplaceable. The Warwick High School class of 2024 will never forget your impact. Thank you.
Next
Thank you,
to the
Zoe.
podium, we have Coriel McMillian, followed by Samantha Wilson and Ariel Miller.
Hi, my name is Coriel McMillian, and I will be addressing agenda item number 4. Thank you so much, Dr. Hershey. You, out of all the superintendents ever, have gone above and beyond in helping our school district and all the students in it. Countless of kids in the middle school and high school are so grateful to you and your compassion, and we will always remember seeing you at multiple events, showing up for us when you could have been at home relaxed or doing something for yourself. What actually amazes me the most is how much time you spent interacting with us as students and getting to know us, our friends, and our families. You even knew my name, which my mom confuses like all the time. So that's a really big thank you coming from you. You consistently work for the better of our school, which in the end brought Warwick closer. You didn't care what we looked like, sounded like, dressed like, smelled like, or even acted like, because you really cared for us. And you didn't have to be at the middle school and high school every day for us to recognize how amazing you are. Thank you so much for being an amazing superintendent, and I hope you take time to travel a lot and spend all the time you spend on us, on yourself and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coriel.
All right, like Mrs. Boyer said, my name is Samantha Wilson. I graduated from Warwick, and now I teach here, which is pretty cool. And you might be on the edge of your seat for the beginning, but I'll get to it. As I was growing up, I was raised with the phrase, becoming part of admin means joining the dark side. This caused me to watch the actions of administrators closely, often with severe judgment. Eventually, I left the Lidditz bubble and started to see things from a renewed perspective. Having been in about 5 different districts, I've noticed that there are administrators out there who embezzle and give up their district to complete state control. There are administrators hidden away in glass castles, only to be seen on occasion from a great distance. There are administrators who are more concerned with their car budget than the students they serve. This is not the case at Warwick. I could sit here counting Dr. Hershey's mistakes or breaking apart each word she's uttered, but that would not make me a better person. It would not make me a better educator. I'm reminded of the verse from John chapter 8, in which Jesus says, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone." I am sure many people have mixed emotions and reactions to the news of Dr. Hershey's resignation. To me, actions speak louder than words. Since I started as an educator in the district, I have seen the following actions. Dr. Hershey met with me at my request once a year. She gave me the space to voice my concerns and frustrations with no interruptions and no excuses. Dr. Hershey walked through the middle school during Teacher Appreciation Week every year to stop at each classroom to offer her gratitude. Dr. Hershey made the time to read a chapter from the book OK for Now to my students, and this gave me a chance to observe the specific needs of my students in that classroom. Just to name a few of her actions, which speak for themselves. Let's take this as a time to let go of the past and wish Dr. Hershey the best. Let's take this as a time to offer Dr. Hershey grace, because she is as much of a human as you and I. Let's see this as a chance to self-reflect and improve. Our students are watching and listening. Let's do better. Let's focus on the light and move forward with our students and their education as our focus.
Good evening, Ariel Miller. I'm speaking tonight on the agenda item regarding the resignation of Dr. Hershey. My family moved to Warwick 5 years ago. My kids' first day as Warwick students was the Tuesday after Labor Day, 2019. I had a kindergartner and a second grader, and we were blown away by our experience in the district, feeling like we had truly hit the jackpot. And then, it was March 2020. I'm sure everyone in this room knows exactly how we felt as everything turned upside down and the world and normalcy that we knew was pulled out from underneath of us. However, thanks to diligent communication and leadership from the district administration, I trusted that no matter what, when it came to their access to a safe education, my kids would be cared for. We still felt like we had hit the jackpot and felt like we could truly trust the administration of this district, especially Dr. Hershey. Over the past 4 years, I have diligently attended board meetings and sent emails to the board and to Dr. Hershey. I've always received responses from her, even when my concerns went unanswered by this and the previous school board. She has led this district through some of the most trying times: death, grief, loss, and a global pandemic. When she speaks about our schools and our students, you can feel the warmth and the love that she radiates. That is special, and it will be difficult, if not impossible, to replace. Today, you will vote to accept the resignation of this incredible leader. Today, you will release her to pursue other opportunities. And who can blame her? She has been at the receiving end of constant vitriol, anger, and hate from some community members and from multiple members of this board. Yes, we've all seen the video. But despite this, she never wavered in ensuring that all students have access to a safe and full education and advocating with her whole heart. Dr. Hershey, you have led this district with grace and dignity. You've demonstrated resilience and what it means to be a good leader. This district is a better place because of you. Wherever you will go next, we'll be so incredibly lucky to have you, and we were so lucky to have you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller.
Next to the podium will be Leslie Penkunas, followed by Ryan McCrory and Chris Aronson.
Thanks. Like, I guess everyone else, I'm here to comment on agenda item 4. I want to express my profound appreciation for all that Dr. Hershey has done for the school district over the past decade and a half. It was an honor to serve on the board for 8 of those years. I know firsthand how much she cares about every student in the district and about our families, our teachers, and our community. As superintendent, she's seen the best of our community, and unfortunately, she's also seen the worst. She's led through tragedy, led through a pandemic, and led through so much political strife that found its way to the boardroom. And through it all, she's held her head high and focused on what matters most. I think fondly of our many board retreats where Dr. Hershey put a chair in the middle of our circle and would tell us, that chair represents our students. They should always be at the center of everything you do. I know I'm not the only one to express this, but her departure is a tremendous loss for the district. Dr. Hershey, I wish you nothing but the best in your next endeavor, wherever that takes you. Warwick's loss will be another community's great fortune. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ryan McCrory, Lidditz resident, here to speak on agenda item number 4. This community is infinitely better off for having had Dr. Hershey serve as superintendent for the last 15 years. I'm not a student, I'm not a parent of a student, I don't work for the district. So why am I up here praising Dr. Hershey? The community is better off with a strong superintendent who leads in a way that provides a positive reputation for the school district. It leads to businesses coming to the area, it leads to investment in the area, and it leads to an overall better quality of life when there's a dedication to a culture of education. On a personal note, I want to thank Dr. Hershey. Whether she knows it or not, she's had a profound impact on me during my time in Lidditz. I had the pleasure of serving on the coordinating committee with her as well as other community work groups, and was always impressed with her level-headedness, her rational approach to things, while also still maintaining a passion for the task at hand. That's not always easy to do, to remain both detached enough to have a rational approach and still remain passionate and dedicated to the task. She provided for me an example of what it means to serve this community. And in my 5 years as the director at Lidditz Public Library, I often found myself looking to Dr. Hershey, whether she knew it or not, to see how she was responding to certain crises. How was she approaching certain issues? To provide me with some guidance as I approached those same issues and crises before me. So I just want to say, number one, thank you, Dr. Hershey, for the impact you had on me, whether you knew it or not. I want to say thank you on behalf of the community who can't be here to praise you. I want to say thank you on behalf of the students who you served for the 15 years that you were here. And I wish you the absolute best in whatever it is you do next. I am thankful that I had the opportunity to meet, get to know, and work with you. Thank you.
My name is Chris Aronson. I'm here to thank Dr. Hershey for her years of dedication and leadership at Warwick, as well as express the sadness many of us feel with this announcement. As a resident of the Lidditz Borough for over a decade, I have seen this school district thrive under her leadership. Before I had children and paid too much mind, I knew students who graduated under her tenure. I knew parents of children who raved about what a great educational experience their kids had been privy to. I watched the school and community rally and lift each other up in the wake of tragedy. In 2022, I got to experience firsthand what Warwick had to offer as my firstborn entered kindergarten. This was a welcoming environment focused on every student having a safe place where they can thrive. The All Are Welcome signs hanging at the entrances of Lidditz L are a daily reminder of what this community and school district are truly about. Culture and attitude are keys to a successful organization, which are a direct reflection of leadership. 2 weeks ago, I saw the true character of Dr. Hershey. I watched a leader with the courage to take a stand for her community and her students, knowing full well it would lead to this outcome. Tonight, we'll hear the school board voice nothing but pleasantries. We'll see the politicians in all of them. They'll thank Dr. Hershey for her invaluable service to the district. We are all aware this is as much of a lie as the reasons for signing with the ILC. Even the board's inner circle with direct knowledge of the path, the plan, the track, or whatever they want to call it would certainly agree. You couldn't speak your true sentiments without risking a loss of face within the community. Luckily for us, a handful of board members don't know that when you're near a microphone, you always assume that it is on. The stark reality of today is another shadow has been cast on this school district. It's quickly becoming a trend. I'm sure we'll again hear that it's all just WGAL coming in for their sound bites, yet in the past 2 weeks, we've seen a contract signed with a religious liberties law firm and the superintendent resign as a result. This is not stability. The costs associated with hiring and onboarding a new superintendent with additional administrators likely to follow because of this board's politics over education approach is not fiscally responsible. Please explain to us how you're going to prevent this school district from crumbling under your watch. My second child will be entering Lidditz-El in the fall of 2025. Give me a real explanation as to why I should choose Warwick over other academic opportunities besides trust us. I trusted and continue to trust Dr. Hershey. I trust that the decision to leave her position was soul-crushing because she really cares about the growth of Warwick students, not their suppression. I trust that she knew, as hard as this is, she could not stop this board from their agenda, but could awaken the district. I trust that she will continue to stand with us and that this community will quickly see the darkness you are attempting to cast upon it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aronson.
Next to the podium is Courtney Ritchie, followed by Dr. Jennifer Shettle and Rachel Haverstick.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Ritchie, and I would like to speak in regards to agenda item number 4, the resignation of Dr. Hershey. For the last 15 years, Warwick has been blessed to have Dr. Hershey leading the district. During those 15 years, our district has seen devastating tragedies, a global pandemic and its aftermath, and community division. However, it has also seen an incredible amount of joy and success, awards and accolades, and also times of unity. Dr. Hershey has shared in our tears, pain, frustrations, laughter, celebration, and love. She has listened to concerns and worked tirelessly to connect with, work with, and understand students, staff, and community members. She has poured her heart and soul into this district, into the students, the staff, and the community members for 15 years. So tonight, I want to say thank you, Dr. Hershey. Thank you for being an incredible role model for all who have come in contact with you. You have shown incredible strength during some of the most difficult times imaginable. You have led this district with grace, dignity, passion, compassion, love, and class. You have been a moral compass, a beacon of hope, a voice of reason, and a pillar of strength for this district. Thank you for your commitment and dedication to the Warwick School District students, staff, and families over the last 15 years. It has always been easy to see your love and passion for your job. It has been said that great leaders don't set out to be leaders. They set out to make a difference. Dr. Hershey, you have certainly made a difference in this district and in the lives of so many. You are leaving behind an incredible legacy of love, service, dedication, commitment, and strength. Warwick will not be the same without you. Thank you for always putting students first, and thank you for all you have done for this district over the last 15 years.
Thank you, Mrs. Ritchie.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Shettle, and I'm speaking on agenda item number 4. My son Noah graduated from Warwick in 2016, and my daughter Lucy graduated in 2020. I first met Dr. Hershey when she joined the Cocalico School District in 2002, where I was a teacher. Dr. Hershey was a mentor and a role model in my career and encouraged me to pursue my own goals of earning a doctorate degree in education. And she supported my move in 2008 from public school teaching to teaching pre-service teachers at the university level. I was delighted when later that year, Dr. Hershey was named as a candidate for superintendent of the Warwick School District, and I was thrilled when she was selected as the first female superintendent of this district in 2009. My daughter Lucy was a member of the graduating class of 2020. As a reminder, the COVID-19 pandemic was responsible for approximately 3.4 million deaths worldwide, according to data from the World Health Organization. The continued criticism and questioning regarding Dr. Hershey's leadership and decision-making that was largely mandated by the government is unfair, unfriendly, and unfounded. Dr. Hershey worked tirelessly long hours with her leadership team, including the school board at that time, to ensure that the children of the Warwick School District were able to finish their school year and, for the seniors, finish off their school careers with as much fanfare as could possibly happen given the state of the entire world at that time. I applaud Dr. Hershey's longevity in staying with the district for the past 15 years, and I want to personally thank her for her outstanding leadership, her unwavering commitment to public education, and her bravery to live and lead by the courage of her convictions. Dr. Hershey, it was an honor and privilege to have you as the leader of this school district while my children were students here, and I wish you the absolute best in whatever your future holds.
Thank you, Dr. Shettle.
Rachel Haverstick, also speaking on agenda item number 4, Dr. Hershey's resignation. Thank you, Dr. Hershey. Thank you for giving 15 years to the Warwick School District and to this community. Thank you for taking the chance, jumping into the superintendent's seat in 2009, just 2 years after Warwick was in the news for a series of controversies and racially charged hostility. Thank you for your commitment to continuous learning and improvement. Thank you for your willingness to be on call 24/7. We know a superintendent is never off the clock. Thank you for leading our district and community through devastating losses and spending time in hospital waiting rooms and by families' sides during the moments that followed these tragedies. Thank you for attending too many events to count and for celebrating and uplifting our students' academic, athletic, music, art, and community involvement successes and accolades. Thank you for being the courageous leader you are. Thank you for being Warwick's first female superintendent, for being a role model for other young women, especially those in education. Girls can be superintendents too, and damn good ones at that. Thank you for being you. As someone that does a lot of research, I found a few quotes while preparing for my remarks that I'd like to share. In an article from March 17th, 2009, when the board interviewed her, Hershey told them, "I am what I am. You're looking at what you get." Flickinger said, "I like that frankness in a person. She has nothing to hide and she's a hard worker." Also from that article, Dr. Hershey is an energetic, thoughtful, and highly competent individual, said Dr. Bruce Sensenig, the former superintendent of the Cocalico School District. And my favorite quote, from an interview with Geoff Davis that you did 10 years ago, April, he asked you to pick a word that would best describe you, and you said, courageous. You answered, "You know, not a day goes by when someone doesn't say to me, I would never want to do your job." I think it's because people have a perception that being a leader is a very stressful job. And there are times when it is, but there's also a lot of joy in the work. But I think that it takes courage to be able to stand up for your truths and to be able to stand up for the work that you're doing. I believe that's a quality I possess. When asked how you define courage, you said, "I would say courage is being able to stand strong through adversity and to be able to stick to your core beliefs when making decisions, even when it's tough to do that." April, I hope your courage to speak up and make the decision to move on is a wake-up call for our community. We're going to miss your steadfast leadership and wish you nothing but the best with whatever is next for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Haverstick.
Next to the podium is Kristen Buchanan, followed by Leslie Morgan and Jim Senft.
My name is Kristen Buchanan. The topic of my comments is the resignation of Dr. Hershey. I want to thank Dr. Hershey for the years of her service to Warwick School District. She has been a constant, calm, wise presence at the helm of this district for the entire span of our oldest child's academic career and most of our younger child's academic career. While our local community and broader world has experienced its fair shares of tragedies and calamities, and many of us have responded with our own emotions and opinions, the whims of a particular group did not guide her. Dr. Hershey led our district's responses and plans with thoughtful consideration and strength. She has explained her reasoning as much as anyone in charge of an entity should need to do. And she always had one thing at the heart of what she did: our children, their safety, and education. It hasn't been an easy road, nor a perfect one. But when you are leading a public school, there are rules and regulations to follow. It's not a superintendent's job to buck the system, nor to seek glory by testing the waters of the legal system. It is to do the best for our children with the guidelines the state has put into place, and she did that so admirably. My husband and I are so pleased that Dr. April Hershey was not only our girls' school leader, but, as many others have said, a role model. While the very last interaction between my older daughter and Dr. Hershey will most likely be at graduation on Friday, I was personally pleased when she had to stand in at the last minute to deliver an award to my daughter on senior awards night last week. Like any great public leader, she was there. She has been there and here and everywhere for our Warwick students for 15 years. And I can't thank her enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Buchanan.
Hello, my name is Leslie Morgan, and I have worked in the school district for more than 30 years, currently teaching 6th grade at John Beck Elementary. I'm speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from our staff to our students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan.
Good evening, school board. My name is Jim Seneft. I live in Lidditz, and I want to talk about agenda item number 4, the resignation of our superintendent, Dr. April Hershey. I don't need to go through Dr. Hershey's resume or her history with the district to remind everyone of what we're losing with this resignation. We are losing a great leader, as many have said already, who's given 15 years invested into the district, 15 challenging years filled with tragedies, triumphs, frivolous threatened lawsuits, and culture wars that have sadly divided our community. But through it all, Dr. Hershey made it clear where she stood with our students, with all students. I believe that this resignation is one final brave act for our students and our community. I believe Dr. Hershey is sounding an alarm to the community. President John F. Kennedy once said, "To sound the alarm is not to panic, but to seek action from an aroused public." The public has been shaken over the last few weeks by the actions of this board. Those of us who've been paying attention haven't been very surprised by any of this, but we do hope that more are awake now. More eyes will be on you, board, as you figure out how to conduct the meetings. More people will be watching and wondering, will you know what to do without somebody telling you whether it's a roll call vote or a voice vote? Will we hear this board finally speak their truths publicly? Or do we need to keep waiting until they think the microphones are off? Dr. Hershey, good luck. Thank you for your service, and good luck to our community.
Thank you, Mr. Seneft.
Next to the podium is Kayla Cook, followed by Lisa Hochreiter and Pastor Rob Mialis.
Good. Kayla Cook, I'm here to say thank you to Dr. Hershey. For 15 years, this community has had the benefit of a consistent, steadfast leader. You have been a stabilizing force, navigating this community through beautiful triumphs and heartbreaking challenges. Your love for this community is palpable. You're at every game, every concert, every play. You're at the school every morning after tragedy, opening the doors for the community to bring meals and support. Those are the moments that most of this community doesn't get to see, but some of us do. You sit in the hospital lobby after tragedy and pray with families. You greet families as they enter those doors to hear the worst news of their lives. You show up for life services for students lost too soon, wearing amazing shirts that show that you know that student. You know all of our students. You are resilient and you are strong and you lead with love. Mr. Rogers, who's one of my favorites, always says to look for the helpers, and you, Dr. Hershey, are a helper. You see our learners where they are, and you meet them where they are. You don't try to change them. You say, how can we help you, and how can we accommodate you? I have a special learner, and she knows who you are, and she feels loved. She feels supported, and she knows that Warwick has got her back. You have handled everything handed to you over the last 15 years with more grace than any of us can hope to have. At the core of every decision you have made, you have led with love, and we thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Hochreiter. I've worked in the district for 33 years, and I teach high school ag science. I am speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. I've been here the whole 15 years with Dr. Hershey, and she will tell you we sometimes disagree, and I was probably a thorn in her side. I will tell you disagreement often leads to a better outcome. It's not easy, but a broken bone actually grows back stronger. And when we have a one-sided, one opinion, united system that doesn't allow for discourse, disagreement, and that growth, that is not going to move Warwick forward. Dr. Hershey, the many times that you and I have disagreed, and the many times that we have worked together, I have seen the true character of you, and you are courageous. And I want to thank you for fighting the many battles. When you came here 15 years ago, it was at a time that we had a different high school principal every year, and that was in a graduation speech. Having longevity, sustainability, and someone who stays in is what has made a big difference. But your first step was a new mission, excuse me, and a new vision statement. And that has led us through so many things. You would bring us back. What is our core? What is our foundation? And I ask you, all of you, what is our core? What is our foundation? And what is happening here tonight? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hochreiter.
I'm Rob Mialis, and I am both a citizen and also a parent, but I'm here tonight as a pastor in town to speak on agenda item number 4. Dr. Hershey, thank you for welcoming the clergy into the ministerial meetings you had in the fall. And I and others always knew that you had an open door and an open ear for us. But I'm really here to thank you for your work in 2018. After the deaths in front of the church and outside of the school, our institutions became linked in tragedy and linked in grief. And it was during that time that I began, really for the first time, to pray for you. Because doing the memorial, which we knew was good, and many people in the community thanked us for it, was the time, because it was no longer behind the confines of the church walls, but in the public, that I received more criticism than I ever have as a pastor. And it just gave me a sense into the window, like a window into the life that you live, where even when you're doing good things, you will always and have always faced such intense scrutiny and pressure. And so I began to think, man, you're giving such countless hours, facing such unrealistic expectations, and having, again, unbearable public scrutiny. And I said, you may actually have the one job in town that burns more spiritual calories than my own. And so, yes, know that I was praying for you. But I really wanted to come tonight and just thank you for your work during that time and the care and compassion you extended to the countless families, staff, and administration during that time. Blessings on your next chapter in your journey.
Thank you, Pastor Mialis.
Next to the podium is Sarah Miller, followed by Lynn Brubaker and Kimberly Reganis.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Hershey. Dr. Hershey, thank you for your last 15 years devoted to our community. Obviously, I'm here to talk about number 4. But Board, while you're sitting here hearing the accolades of Dr. Hershey, and yes, there's many, all good things must come to an end. And while this is a sad ending for most, we're also in the worst time that I can remember as a citizen of Lidditz for the past almost 12 years of just division and vitriol and hate. The people that say to lead with love the most are the ones that will turn around and use the most vile, nasty actions, and actions do speak louder than words. I'm here to tell you that they will try to come after your job. They will slander you on Facebook, and unfortunately, as a public servant, there's nothing that protects you from libel slander. But as you lead this community, hopefully towards a safer building, better scores in the classroom, especially at the 4th grade level, I pray that you can buffer out the loud, angry voices and realize that you do stand for the majority and that the majority does support you. I also just would like to ask that as you search for an interim superintendent and a new superintendent, as a new young board, and we all know that, and everyone is a beginner at some point, no matter where you started. So it's okay to make mistakes because you are new. And that grace is extended by a majority of the community. But that you look at maybe, just like the recommendation from myself and other citizens was to have a survey of culture for the teachers to kind of gauge where we are, is that hopefully that you've looked outside of the district as well and maybe look at someone who either was a former superintendent or other contracted services to help fill the gap so that when the time comes to hire a new superintendent, we really make the best decision and we don't have a knee-jerk reaction in who can fill this void. So thank you for your time and thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Brubaker, and I've worked in the district for 12 years. I teach 2nd grade. I am speaking tonight on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. And Dr. Hershey, with love and respect.
Thank you, Mrs. Brubaker.
Kimberly Reganis. I'm speaking on agenda item number 4. I believe that good leaders are best measured not just by how they treat those who agree with them, but also those who approach them with disagreement. In my time as a Warwick parent, I found myself on both sides of that coin with Dr. Hershey and her staff. I mention that not to sour the mood amongst all these glowing comments, but to recognize a rare leadership quality in Dr. Hershey. In times of harmony, in times of dispute, and everything in between, I was never in doubt of the common ground between us. Her commitment to seeing each Warwick learner reach their full potential was never in question. You see, it's easy to lead with disregard for differences, to avoid the hard conversations, to ignore criticism, to guard oneself against vulnerability. But to lead with an open heart, as Dr. Hershey did, takes true strength, and it is a choice. Dr. Hershey, please accept my heartfelt thanks for your leadership, your discernment, and your grace in the face of unprecedented challenges and triumphs alike.
Thank you, Mrs. Reganis.
Next to the podium is Sarah Holton, followed by Lisa Colino and Katie Manzi.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Holton, and I've worked in the district for 17 years, and I currently teach 5th grade at Kissel Hill. I'm speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. On a personal note, from my heart, thank you, Dr. Hershey, for your leadership. Thank you for being in the moments where our jobs as educators are the hardest, and persevering alongside of us. For 15 years, you have led, loved, held fast, kept your door open, discussed, encouraged discourse, remained continually open to critical conversations, and remained steadfast when the light, with a light on, way after it had already gotten dark.
Thank you, Mrs. Holton.
Hello, my name is Lisa Colino. I've worked in the district for 25 years. I teach 6th grade at Kissel Hill, and I'm speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others here tonight in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from our students to our staff. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Thank you, Mrs. Colino.
Hello, I'm Katie Manzi. I've worked in the district for 8 years. I think it might be more. And I teach 1st grade. I'm speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work environment. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Thank you, Mrs. Manzi.
Next to the podium is Megan Madeira, followed by Gina Diaz and Courtney Schoenberger.
Hello, my name is Megan Madeira, and I have worked in the district for 3 years now, and I teach 5th grade at Kissel Hill. I am speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Thank you, Mrs. Madeira.
Hello, my name is Gina Diaz Perez. I have worked in the district for 5 years, and I teach art at Kissel Hill Elementary. I am speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to wholeheartedly acknowledge and to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Thank you, Mrs. Diaz Perez.
Hello, my name is Courtney Schoenberger. I have worked in the district for 3 years. I'm an SSA at Kissel Hill and also a proud Warwick graduate, class of 2002. I am speaking on behalf of agenda number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every single individual within our team, from staff, especially to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Thank you, Mrs. Schoenberger.
Next to the podium is Mary Bortner, followed by Kathy Ruth and Kathy Dommel.
Good evening, my name is Mary Bortner, and I have worked in the district for 33 years and been through several superintendents over the years. And I've got to say that the last 15, I have learned a lot about grace in running this district. Dr. Hershey has been hit with so many tragedies over the years, but she stands up strong and tall and helps all of us through the tragedies. I thank you for your service to Warwick School District, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Mrs. Bortner.
Hello, I'm Kathy Ruth. I have worked in the district for 18 years as a school secretary at Kissel Hill Elementary, and I'm speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Dr. Hershey, I admire you at this time for your grace and dignity during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ruth.
Hello, my name is Kathy Dommel. I've worked in the district for 17 years, and I'm the gifted and STEM facilitator at Kissel Hill and Bonfield Elementary. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Dr. Hershey, thank you for believing in us.
Thank you, Mrs. Dommel.
Next, we have Sherry Klein, followed by Todd Fulgenetti.
Hi, my name is Sherry Klein, and I have worked in this district for 35 years, and I teach music. I'm also a Warwick graduate, 1984, and a lifelong community member. I am speaking on behalf of agenda item number 4. As a member of the Warwick community, I join many others in emphasizing the ongoing importance of nurturing a positive work culture. We are dedicated to supporting every individual within our team, from staff to students. We wholeheartedly acknowledge and value diversity as a cornerstone of our success, recognizing that everyone's unique contributions and collaborations are indispensable to our collective success. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Thank you, Ms. Klein.
Is Todd not here? Okay. Is that it, Mrs. Boyer, for this portion? Okay, then we are going to move on with our agenda, special voting session. I need an approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
So move in a second. Questions or comments about the agenda? This is a voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This motion passes. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of May 21st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions from this particular item? This is a voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This motion passes. Communications, Dr. Hershey.
None beyond what you've received via email.
Excellent, thank you. And the report of the superintendent.
Yes, for personnel, we'll turn to Dr. Callender.
Good evening, school board and community. Part A, resignations. It is recommended that the board approve the resignation of the following individuals. Education Committee, Christina Klein as a community representative of this committee effective June 30th, 2024. Finance and Legal Committee, Josh Hoffman as a community representative of this committee effective June 30th, 2024. Matt Snavely as a community representative of this committee effective June 30th, 2024. Non-instructional, Mary Ober as a building services employee at Warwick Middle School effective June 6th, 2024. And Grace Longendorfer as a behavior support assistant at Kissel Hill Elementary School effective August 1st, 2024.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments on personnel? Okay. This is a voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This motion passes.
Part B, elections. It is recommended that the board approve the election of the following individuals subject to all pre-employment requirements and clearance checks. Instructional LTS, Cassidy Ammon Blos as a long-term substitute LTS World Language teacher at Warwick High School, 40%, and Warwick Middle School, 60%, effective on the first day of the first semester of the 24-25 school year, pending receipt of all of the appropriate paperwork. Ms. Ammon Blost is replacing Wendy Andrews, who received a change of status.
And independent volunteers, it is recommended that the board approve the election of the individuals listed below as independent volunteers effective June 5th, 2024, until a resignation is submitted or active status is changed by the district. Please see the 2 names below.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Questions or comments from the board on these items? This is a voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This motion passes.
Thank you.
Number 2, approval of agreement with Specialized Education of Pennsylvania, Inc. It is recommended that the board approve the agreement with Specialized Education of Pennsylvania, Inc. as set forth on attachment number 1.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions about this particular agreement? This is a roll call vote. All votes will be recorded as yes unless I hear a nay or an abstention. Hearing none, this motion passes.
Number 3, approval of extended school year ESY staff summer 2024. It is recommended that the board approve the extended school year ESY staff as set forth on attachment number 2.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments about item number 3? This is also a roll call vote. All votes will be recorded as yes unless I hear a nay or an abstention. Hearing none, this motion passes. Number 4, approval of resignation of the superintendent of schools. It is recommended that the board approve the resignation of Dr. April Hershey as superintendent of schools effective June 30th, 2024 as per agreement. A public statement from the Warwick School Board of Directors and Dr. Hershey can be found on the link that's available on our website.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or comments on this particular item? This is a roll call vote. All votes will be recorded as yes unless I hear a nay or abstention. Hearing none, this motion passes. Information from the superintendent, Dr. Hershey.
Yes, we are excited to be celebrating this last week of school for 2024, particularly items of note for our seniors. Tomorrow night is our senior sunset, which will take place out on our turf field, and I'm looking forward to spending time with our students there. Thursday is the last official day of school for students in kindergarten through 11th grade, and so make sure you know what time they're coming home. And then Thursday evening, we'll have baccalaureate at LEFC, so we're excited for that. And Friday is graduation, so we're very much looking forward to that at Calvary Church. If you don't have a ticket but you'd like to follow along, we will be broadcasting that on our website. That's my report.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Yes.
We will move on to, we're going to adjourn this meeting and hold the remainder of comments for the end of the committee of the whole meeting. So we're looking for an motion to adjourn.
Mrs. Zimmerman, may I make a couple comments, please?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay,
Yep.
first, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Hershey, for your service. We'll have time to celebrate all you've done. Thank you. Second, I just want to say that we teach our students in school how to be an upstander when a person is treated poorly by others. A few years ago, a student came to this podium and reminded us all that we have to be that for each other. Regardless of the matter at hand, each person has the right to their own opinion. There is rarely an issue where we will all see eye to eye or be exactly the same. There are a few areas, though, that we should be more like-minded. For instance, our success at Warwick or being kind to others. Understanding our differences is important, but it is more important to be kind. Mr. Rogers said, there are 3 ways to our ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. At our last board meeting, there were unkind comments made during the meeting, picked up on the microphone and heard by many. Although I was not the person speaking and I didn't even hear it, I wish to be the upstander in this situation and apologize for those comments to our community and to the intended targets. I am so sorry. Thank you.
May I also make a comment? Good evening, everyone. I was not really planning on speaking tonight. However, after seeing many of my past teachers in the crowd, many of whom have seen me in tears over science fair projects, another of who has corrected my pronunciation of the word preposition many, many times. And all of that has been under Dr. Hershey, and my whole school career has been under Dr. Hershey. And I remember the first time I met her was when she came in to our first grade class, and I just felt like the sense of authority, and I was so scared. And this year especially, I've gotten to know that she's so much more than a sense of authority. She's a leader, and she's a role model. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments at this time?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cry, but now I move to adjourn this part of the meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second. I'm assuming there's not any questions or comments about that before we move to committee of the whole. This is a voice vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. This motion passes. We will move now into the committee of the whole portion of the agenda. Thank you, Dr. Hershey.
Yes. We'll begin tonight with Mr. Wirch, who has our final budget presentation. It will be available over here on the screen. And board members, you have it if you did the QR code on your devices.
Good evening, school board and community. We recognize this is not the best of setups. This presentation is available in the business office section of the district website right now if you'd like to pull it up and follow along. School board, you should be able to pull it up on your laptops there too. For anybody that has questions after this meeting, I'm more than happy to field any questions related to this presentation later this week as well. This is building on multiple presentations that I've done throughout the budget cycle at this point. So this is primarily building on where we were from last month. So this is the main cause of change since May. We have had a lot of movement, mainly on the expense side. We'll get to the revenue side a little bit later because we still don't have the big ticket items that are out there. But we have seen some movement on the expense side. Salaries and benefits is primarily driven by the SRI approval that you had done based off the proposal that was given by our Director of Human Resources. The purchase professional services is primarily related to our IU placements. We did receive the final IU budget as well as put in our placements and knowing what our costs are going to be there. So we did receive some savings there as well. That helps to offset what we saw on the salary and benefits side. Other purchase services is primarily related to our liability insurance. We just got our liability quote for next year from our LIPSIP carrier, and that came in favorable mainly because we've had a good past year. So we receive a modification factor based off good experience that helps lower what the overall increase could have been. And then minor changes in supplies and utilities. So at the end of the day, we're essentially net neutral from where we were last month. Looking at 3-year budget projections, we bring this up multiple times throughout the year. So we're primarily looking at next year and then projecting where we're going forward. Sitting at about $1 million deficit going into next year is honestly a very good position to be in all. It's well within what our allowable index is. And then when you look out in future years there too, nothing scares us in future years. So it's at least based off this year's budget, building into solid budgets for the next 3 years there as well. Here's the allowable tax index. So again, this is just showing the entire range of what you're able to tax. So the Act 1 index across the entire state of Pennsylvania is 5.3% that you have the ability to be able to tax within this year. That would bring in almost $2.5 million to the district, but would cost about $179.71 to the median taxpayer. You can see right now we're looking at something that's 0.75% at the top side of that schedule. That would bring in about $350,000 in revenue to the district and mean a $25.42 to the median taxpayer. This shows our Lancaster County millage rates. We've reviewed this before, so currently in 23-24, you can see we're sitting in the yellow at 16.4611. You can see that's about over 1.5 mils lower than what the average is. Last year's average increase was a little over 2%. But what I really want to call your attention to is at the bottom of the schedule down here. You can see the 24-25 proposed final budgets that districts all around us and above and below us on the schedule have done. So if Warwick were to implement the 0.75% tax increase, that takes us to the bottom number of 16.5845, which is still below what Manheim Township is currently sitting at within this year. But what I want to call your attention to is they currently build in a 3.3% tax increase into their proposed final budget, which would propel them up to 17.249. And then if you look below us, number 12, Pequay Valley, and number 13, Manheim Central, they build in a 3.32% final budget and a 4.51% proposed final budget. So you can see how those numbers would propel them up above us. So even if we do a 0.75% tax increase, we would likely drop to 13 lowest in the county. This shows the Lancaster County tax history. I showed this earlier in the budget process as well, but I thought it was important to bring up here again too. So again, anytime you see a green box on the screen, that's where a district did a tax freeze. You will see we did 4 of them in a row. So if you go the whole way back to 2017-18, we were the 5th highest taxing district in Lancaster County. And then you can see 4 years of green boxes in a row where we did not raise taxes at all. This current year is the first year we raised taxes, and that was solely related to debt service. So we built in 0.55% increase, which was solely related to debt service, and saved us millions of dollars in interest costs from our bond issues that we've done on the current high school project. But you can see we're at the bottom of the schedule right now, which shows the total tax increase over 6 years. So back in 18-19, we did 0.5%. Well, in the current year, we did 0.55%. So that means total over 6 years, we've increased taxes 1.05%. The average over that time was 11.54% across Lancaster County. Even if we were to implement a 0.75% increase, that would take us to 1.8% over 7 years. We know Columbia is freezing currently. It's built into their final budget next year, but that still puts us 3.75% less than them over that 7-year period. We obviously expect the average to increase, but you can see when you look across all of these years that we've obviously managed taxes very well over the last 7 years. This was one slide that I showed last time, but I wanted to show it again now that we have more final numbers related to the homestead farmstead reduction. So in the current year, 23-24, we received just under $1.2 million in the gambling funds that come through as the homestead farmstead reduction. That is a revenue neutral number to the district. Whatever the state gives us, we turn around and pass to the taxpayers that are approved for homestead farmstead. So there were 8,047 properties this year, which equated to an assessed value exclusion of $8,862, or we reduced taxes by $145.89 if there was an approved homestead farmstead. This is one of the first years where we received a historic increase related to that number, and we're receiving just over $1.4 million. Our number of homestead farmsteads dropped slightly to 8,028, which means the assessed value exclusion increased to $10,654, or the total tax bill reduction was $176.69. So if you have an approved homestead farmstead in Lidditz, in Warwick School District, you're going to see your taxes drop by $30.80. If the 0.75% tax increase were to be implemented, that would mean to the median taxpayer, they're still going to receive a reduction in their taxes by a little over $5. State budget is summed up pretty simply by one giant question mark right now. So they just really started core budget negotiations to this point. We have not received any direction whatsoever as it relates to the basic ed funding, special ed funding, cyber charter reform, health and safety grants, anything of that nature that could really sway the needle one way or another in our budget. So next steps, the intent to adopt final budget has already been advertised in Lancaster newspaper. There will be continued budget trending and adjusting up until, but not likely to be material, final adoption. And then at the June 18th board meeting is when you will approve the actual PDE 2028 document in PDE's form. So I'll take any questions at this time.
Mr. Warwick, for me, I just have to say thank you for you and your team's work on this. I love seeing the numbers there when we are at the bottom as far as taxing goes, and I think it's a testament to your work and your team's work to keep us there, especially in times when things are extremely expensive and everything is going up as far as costs. So I do appreciate that. So please thank you for that.
It's been years in the making, and it's been a full team approach from leadership team to superintendent to school board to finance and legal to everybody behind the scenes. This has been a multi-year and a lot of people involved.
I ditto those comments. Thank you, Nate, and your team.
Thank you, Mr. Wirch. So we just have two policies tonight, and I have some recommendations for you that should make this move rather quickly. The first one is policy 137.2, that's participation in co-curricular activities and academic courses by home education students. We spoke about this before because there was one family who was interested in a second period of coursework at our middle school for their student, and the way the policy is currently written, it did not allow for that. So we would like to replace the existing language to read the following: no less than 1 period secondary or 60 minutes elementary, but no more than 2 periods secondary or 120 minutes elementary. That would solve this problem, and we could just make that change and then do a first reading in 2 weeks. Does everybody feel good about that language?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Yep, excellent.
Thank you for that.
Of course. And then number 3, this is ongoing work that we've had regarding policy 715 on honoring and naming rights, as well as the wall of honor information that we put together for you as per your request. We've made some adjustments to the wall of honor based on the things that you shared, Mrs. Martin, and those are highlighted in yellow on the paper you have in front of you. My recommendation for this, I know there's been question about, is this policy, is this not policy? In policy 715, it does mention the alternate opportunities for honoring and naming, and that includes an addendum for memorial benches and trees. And I feel like we could also add this that says another option is the Warwick School District Wall of Honor, and then add this as another attachment. So people could follow this route, they could follow the memorial bench or trees, or they could move forward with trying to do an honoring or naming. And then the only other thing was, Mr. Brown, you brought up that you would like to change some other language in here, but I hope this addresses this piece. Is everybody comfortable with adding this part? Okay.
Yes.
We'll take care of that, and that will also go on for first read.
Thank you for your work with that.
You got it.
So does the Ring of Honor, that, I think that removes the deceased part of the.
It doesn't remove it from the policy.
Doesn't remove it from the
piece.
policy,
But if that's something.
Ring of Honor.
Correct.
Yep.
But if you would like to remove that from the policy, you guys need to talk about that here tonight.
I'm comfortable with where the policy is today, especially because we have the ability to put this in place. That's just my personal opinion. I think this is a nice alternative. That piece of it, I think, speaks to naming of buildings. And so we've had that discussion numerous times. I personally am grateful for this piece to be added and an opportunity to recognize many more people here.
I know I've made a plea to remove the deceased part of that policy. I would be in favor of that. However, it doesn't appear that we have much interest in removing that from that part of the policy. So I will back off that and just go with what we got in the Ring of Honor.
And are we all okay with calling it Walls of Honor since it looks like it's going to be on, yes,
I'm
okay.
comfortable with that.
Great.
Yep. Thank you for, that's been a labor of love for you for a
It
little
has,
while, so thank you
yes.
for doing that.
You're welcome. That's all I have.
Okay, that's all we have for this evening.
We do have some comments.
I was just going to get to that. We do have a couple comments at the end. Before we get into those comments, I neglected to mention that this board held an executive session last Tuesday morning with Mr. Litt, so I wanted to make sure that the community was aware of that. Comments, Mrs. Boyer? I think we had just a handful here at the end.
We do. We start with Derek Hill, followed by Rachel Haverstick and Esther De La Cruz.
Good evening to the Warwick community, those that's present, and especially you, Dr. Hershey. I would have greeted our school board members, but they have proven that they don't listen to anyone that doesn't think like them. That's a conversation for another time. My name is Derek Hill, senior, 26-year Army veteran, husband, father of 5. All my children have attended Warwick schools at some point, with my youngest finishing in 2026. When I think of my 20 years living here, a few names come to mind as being good-hearted people. Chief Cease, Dr. Elder, principal of Liddesdale, Dr. Murphy, principal of Liddesdale, and Dr. George, former superintendent, and now you, Dr. Hershey. Thank you, and I'm sure I speak for all the parents and students that have appreciated your service to the school district. I read an article from your 2019 interview with extraordinary leaders, and when you were asked in a word, how do you view yourself, you said, courageous. In my opinion, you could not have picked a better adjective. So for all the people that you have impacted, had an impact on, I say thank you. Thank you for your courageousness in the face of adversity. Thank you for your ability to stand firm on what you believe. And know that the only regret that I have is that during the election cycle, I didn't do enough to get you a school board that you could work with and find common ground with. And I'm gonna tell you what I tell all the adolescents that I come in contact with every day, that I engage with every day. You don't have to be what anybody wants you to be, but please don't be afraid to be what you want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Good evening, Rachel Haverstick. I'd like to address the role of, or more specifically, the scope, function, and reach of the school board. On Friday morning, May 31st, I saw a beautifully written post on Warwick's social media, specifically Facebook. We're so lucky to have a talented PR professional who tells Warwick's stories beautifully. As a fellow founding member of Warwick United, I was elated for our small but mighty nonprofit and the work of fellow founding members Kayla Cook and Christina Smoker. Together, Warwick United has grown and sustained the Period Product Initiative at Warwick, which has put our district in a positive spotlight. The original post was a beautiful tribute and thank you to all those behind this initiative, as well as to the organizers. Let me provide some additional context about this program. Just over 3 years ago, a then student, now alum, approached one of her teachers about making free period products available. She had been purchasing and leaving supplies in the restrooms with notes saying, "Please take if you need," and wanted to extend the effort. After hearing no twice due to budget constraints from administrators, Dr. Hershey suggested she consider taking her idea to a nonprofit. Warwick United embraced the opportunity and ran with it. Over the last 2+ years, Warwick United has worked with community members, businesses, and has received grants from Penn Medicine to provide over 40,000 period products to Warwick students. These are distributed through dispensers in the middle and high school restrooms, through the nurse's office at the elementary schools. Earlier this spring, Warwick United was contacted
by the governor's office with an invitation to join First Lady Shapiro for an event at the governor's mansion. They identified our approach as a successful model. Warwick United's Kayla Cook and Christina Smoker invited Zoe Weicker to join as a student ambassador, a tremendous opportunity for Zoe and our district. So why does all of this matter, and how does it relate to the district's Facebook post I mentioned earlier? Later that day, I saw the post again, but this time it was different. After realizing the drastic change and being incredibly confused, I contacted the PR office and learned that the board requested, or maybe demanded, that the post be altered. Why? I reached out to the board twice to ask why and have yet to receive an answer. This demand is a gross example of overreach and frankly lacks transparency. Without a response, I can only assume. Do you have an unwritten litmus test for all of our district's web and social media content? This type of behavior inhibits our talented professionals from doing the jobs they were hired to do. Your role and function is not to provide oversight to the day-to-day operations, and it certainly isn't to monitor or have your friends monitor and report the district's social media content. What else are you censoring on the fly?
Mrs. Haverstick, I would like to address what you just said. That was a collective decision from the district office and the school board. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Esther Dela Cruz. I'm a parent of Warwick students, and I live in Lidditz on 133 East New Street. I want to talk to you today about some concerns that I have about the ways that the policies you craft with the Independence Law Firm will affect all of our students, including our cisgender girls. Last June 8th, an elementary school in British Columbia had a girls' track meet. The meet was interrupted by an irate man who believed that a 9-year-old girl against whom his granddaughter was competing was, quote, not a real girl. This was a 9-year-old cisgender girl with a short haircut. The man and his wife were eventually asked to leave. On his way out, his wife called the little girl's mother a pedophile and a genital mutilator as they were escorted out. Again, this was a 9-year-old cisgender girl, not a trans girl. She merely had the audacity to wear her hair short. A Moms for Liberty endorsed school board member in Utah, Natalie Klein, recently undertook a back-channel investigation into a 16-year-old high school basketball player whom she felt was, in her words, not mine, too big to be a real girl. She eventually shared several posts openly on Facebook accusing the 16-year-old cisgender girl of being trans. She included a picture, and in the comments of the post, Ms. Klein's supporters shared the girl's name, address, and the location of her high school. Ms. Klein did take the post down after she was reprimanded by the Utah Board of Education, but she remains in her seat. Last week, one of your supporters told us the story of a school district in Pittsburgh, which she asserted is facing a $30 million lawsuit due to their trans-inclusive bathroom policies. She claimed that a boy, in her words, put on a skirt, then went into the girl's bathroom and raped a girl. This story contains the barest kernel of truth. A horrible crime was committed in Pittsburgh in which 3 cisgender heterosexual boys took a 3rd grade girl with an intellectual disability out of the school and into a coffee shop next door where they sexually assaulted her in a bathroom. The school district was sued for this because of their gross negligence in allowing this to happen. Again, this crime was perpetrated by 3 cisgender heterosexual boys. To claim that this was a boy in a skirt or a transgender person is a gross misrepresentation of the facts, and it is defamatory towards the trans community. This is not a helpful way to approach dialogue. It took a very basic news search to learn the truth of this issue. The fact that you are willing to drop a trans person into any violent crime you hear about because you have a problem with trans people participating in public life is unacceptable. On another note, I would like to say to all of the queer kids in our schools, I know this is hard. I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian household, and it was so hard. I'm not going to get into it now, but I just want to say hang in there.
Thank you for your comments this
We
evening.
need you. Every day that you're still breathing is
Thank
a
you for these
success for all of us.
Next, we have Lisa Hochreiter, followed by Parker Webb.
Hello, my name is Lisa Hochreiter, speaking once again. Some say silence is golden. I say tonight the silence has been deafening. I think this community and your staff would love to hear some answers of the direction where we're going. Tonight, you voted with little to no comment on Dr. Hershey's resignation. But there is nothing about what our next steps are. Where are we going and what are we doing? That is not my bell over there. The silence is deafening, but the actions are not. We're going to ask for more than this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Parker Webb, he, they, Executive Director and co-founder of Lidditz Chooses Love, and 42-year-old transgender man who has medically transitioned 18 years ago now. I've come to represent that the transgender community is nothing new and speak about that a little bit. I honestly didn't have enough time to write my speech during the meeting today. It's usually a lot longer. And I do want to thank Dr. Hershey for all your service, and I'm sorry that we never really got to work together, as I am starting to partner a little bit more with the school through our food bank, which is open every Wednesday night from 5 to 8, and every Saturday morning from 9 until noon for everyone who needs food. Anybody who needs food can come. It is no restrictions. You don't have to make under a certain amount or anything. So back to me. So as I said, I'm 42 years old. I have been transgender my entire life. My mom can recall when I was 4 years old outside, she could hear me through the window saying, "I want to be a boy when I grow up," when all the other kids were saying they want to be a firefighter or a doctor. So I knew a long time ago. I also told her that if she didn't cut my hair short like a boy's around that time, that I would stick gum in it and she'd have to shave it all off. So she also called me an obstinate child, which, can just mean stubborn, or it can mean that I really knew who I was, and I was dedicated to it. I will say that unfortunately, when I was 11, we moved to Illinois. And that's also like a very, tenuous time. You're going into middle school, so it's difficult with your friends at that point anyway. But just the first day there, back in that day, I don't know how many older people here remember It's Pat from Saturday Night Live. Yep, that's what they called me. Oh, it doesn't shave its legs and has short hair and, but it's wearing girls' clothes. Yeah, that was really cool. That's the kind of bullying that comes to non-binary people. That's the kind of bullying that still kids experience to this day, because our society is full of these binary gender systems. I haven't legally changed my gender. I am legally female. Why? Well, if I need a hysterectomy, I'd really like my insurance to cover it. We live in a binary gender system. There is no FTM, there is no non-binary, there is no nothing in insurance besides M and F. So even as progressive as it may seem in our community and the way we can treat each other, which can even be better, but we in community can treat each other like human beings and with respect and as the gender that we are, even if I have to leave it legally female so that I can get the medical care that I need as a transgender adult. Thank you.
I believe that's it for this evening. We have our voting session, regular voting session in 2 Tuesday evenings, so that agenda will be posted the week before.
Emily.
Thanks, have a great night.
How are you? Of course.
You stole it?
No, he resigned it. He's got the